The Wall Street Journal published an article about the cost of going to Disney parks. I got something to say about that. There's a new feature on the Disneyland app that everyone should be using. We'll also talk about breakfast returning to River Belle, plus some Fantasmic news that doesn't look too good. All coming up next on Fresh Baked. Hi guys, David here with Fresh Baked. Last week we talked about the dramatic increase in prices on things throughout the resort. And not just Magic Keys, which those prices did go up, but basically anything you could buy in the park. Going to Disneyland today is getting pretty expensive. The Wall Street Journal had notice, so much so that they decided to write a whole article on the topic. And for the most part, it was not complimentary. Hard to do, really, when you're talking about how much it costs, how expensive Disneyland is getting. But I'm not going to be talking about prices again in this episode. I want to talk about a couple of comments that I did find in that article that I thought were interesting. For example, Disney Parks President Josh D'Amaro said when commenting about how angry guests were getting with the cost of going to Disneyland, that rising prices were an inevitable result of progress. And per the Wall Street Journal, he insists that every change that's happened in the parks is in service of improving visitor trips. And I don't agree with any of that, I'm afraid to say. What progress is he referring to, first of all? Are the parks progressing? Put another way, is your park experience today better than it was 3 years ago, pre-COVID? Show of hands. Now, I'm not even arguing about the rising prices. I don't have a problem, actually, with rising prices. I agree. It is an inevitable part of our life. It happens. But to suggest that we're getting the same experience today, check that. A better experience today, a progressed experience today than we were before is simply not true. Nor is saying that every change that's been happening is in service to the guests. Again, polling the audience, has Genie improved your guest experience in the park? Certainly for many, Genie Plus is a necessary evil. You have to, especially at Walt Disney World, Magic Kingdom. But ask anybody who knows anything about crowd management, and they'll tell you that Genie Plus is not an improvement over even just basic standby. Or just watch Defunctland's video on FastPass. It's very eye-opening. The reservation system, not progress. For Disneyland, progress maybe. But again, there's no way that you could actually convince me that making a reservation is better for me than just going to the park whenever I feel like it. Now, for what it's worth, I know some might suggest that the reservation system does have its benefits, that it helps to reduce or control attendance in the parks, for example. But I submit to you that if controlling attendance were the true purpose, the true gain, the true end game of the reservation system, you could achieve the same goal by simply selling fewer tickets. You don't need the reservation system to limit attendance. Just limit it. Just do it. Now, the other comment that I observed, which was something this was submitted by the author himself, not by Disney. I found this quite humorous. He observed that Genie Plus could tell guests where their shortest lines were, while offering food and merchandise promotions to cajole guests into going to another part of the park. And this is laughably incorrect. I assume he means by food and merchandise promotions, he's talking about a discount. But I'm positive that Disney is not going to suddenly offer a sale on churros over by the Haunted Mansion if they feel like there's too many guests in Tomorrowland. I've never seen a single notification in the app like that. No alerts at all. It's not done. Luckily, I don't have to put this one on Disney. It's the Wall Street Journal that is suggesting this. But it is crazy town, and I mentioned here, if only apart from being humorous, if only to remind people that not everything that we read on the internet is truth, especially or even if it comes from a source like the Wall Street Journal. Now, I know, having said all of this, that some of you aren't crazy about us getting negative in some way about Disneyland, and I'm not trying to be that at all. I feel like I have to put a qualifier on this. I still love Disneyland. I love going to Disneyland, and I would highly recommend everybody going to Disneyland as often as they can, and I still believe it is a tremendous value. Like I said before, I'm not even complaining about the price of things. That just is what it is, and I'm doing my best to deal with it. I just prefer that for the statements to be honest. And I feel like sometimes Disney execs don't give us enough credit for seeing through some of that nonsense. You know what I mean? Like, they prefer us to not be intelligent about this kind of thing. Nope, I'm not a fan of Genie Plus or the reservation system, nor do I believe that those services are for us, the guests. They are absolutely, those are for Disney. So with that out of the way, let's talk about that new feature I mentioned in the opening, a new feature on the Disneyland app that I feel like everybody should be using. And that's the cast compliment feature. It's a time-honored tradition for guests at Disneyland. I love this. I love that this is a thing because you don't get this in a lot of other places. For a long time, guests who have felt like they've been treated well by a cast member, that they can pay a cast compliment. You would go to City Hall And they would actually, there's a little card, a cast compliment card. You could fill it out and it goes on their permanent record. It's a wonderful way to acknowledge, to pay respect to cast members who go out of their way to provide the very thing that Disneyland is famous for. They go out of their way to do this, and it's a great thing to do. But up until now, they haven't found a way to get that into the digital world. You can do most everything on the Disneyland app except pay a cast compliment. Now you can't. Simply navigate to the menu page, scroll down towards the bottom, and there you'll see the cast compliment option. From here, you can choose your compliment. They provided a drop-down of common compliments like making us feel special or making a positive impact on your day. Then choose your location, and each location has sub-locations. Some actually have a couple. You are then given the option to provide the cast member's first name and or their hometown as listed on their name tag, which, by the way, I don't see why you wouldn't do that. The whole point is for them to be recognized specifically, so do give their name and location. And then you can also add the date of your interaction, and that's it. And in so doing, you have done something that can really impact a cast member's career or just make them feel better, which is, who doesn't want that? And by the way, Disney does notify the cast members, so that's a great deal. Hopefully this is something that we can all remember to do as often as possible, because they've made it much more easy to do that than it used to be. Okay, next let's go to Frontierland and the River Belle Terrace, where we have great news for fans of having breakfast at Disneyland. Starting September 2nd, first day of the Halloween season, breakfast will be served at River Belle Terrace. This is a big deal because breakfast options have been kind of limited since the parks reopened. It's sort of growing, but this feels like it's kind of like one of the last really good options for breakfast. As a matter of fact, if I recall, I don't think they even had breakfast at River Belle pre-COVID, right? I know they did when River Belle was counter service, not table service. When they converted to table service, I feel like they stopped serving breakfast. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So this is really kind of an interesting development. With that, let's take a look at the menu. The Mark Twain. I love saying that. Which is your basic, well, not a basic, but it's a scrambled egg breakfast. There's steak and eggs, barbecue Southern skillet. I love skillets. Hot honey fried chicken Benedict. Oh my, Liz would love that. There's my favorite, biscuits and gravy. And then we've got avocado toast for the millennial crowd, and pancakes, of course, and an interesting last item, fried shrimp and catfish Benedict. What is that? We'll try to sample this as soon as possible. The prices don't look too offensive, but we haven't actually seen the portion sizes. For example, I think the biscuits and gravy are just that. There's no eggs or bacon, so I don't know if you can make a meal out of just biscuits and gravy. Do note, River Belle Terrace is a table service location. Reservations are required. So I don't expect them to be as competitive as lunch or dinner. So far, the first weekend is booked, but after that, you can get pretty much any day you prefer right now. And for those wondering, I don't think these are going to fit into the Fantasmic dining package type situations. The dining packages are fixed menu items, price fixed. You choose one or two options, whereas the breakfast is obviously an open menu. You can kind of build your own. So we'll stay tuned for that because I feel like they could add a Fantasmic dining package to the River Belle breakfast. Stay tuned. And if they do, by the way, that's something that I would recommend, actually. Speaking of Fantasmic and dining reservations, have you tried to make one for after Labor Day? Go to either the Hungry Bear or River Belle dining package reservation calendar, and you'll see that you can search for a dining reservation for tomorrow and through the 5th. But if you try to search for the 6th, no luck. Can't search. Not that there aren't reservations, you can't search. You can search for the 10th, a Saturday, but not the 8th, a Sunday. It looks like there's no Fantasmic happening during the week, right? So I checked the entertainment schedule, and sure enough, it's on the calendar from the 9th through the 11th of September, Friday through Sunday, but not on the Thursday before or the Monday after. Same the week after, and the week after that. Is Fantasmic going weekends only? Disney has not made any formal announcement. As far as I know, there's no word. I haven't heard anything about this. I haven't seen anything discussed on social media. I got a few emails, which is the reason why I looked into this. I got a few emails from fans saying, hey, what's up with Fantasmic dining packages? I've asked Disney support for an update on this, but so far I haven't heard back from them. I'll report to you guys as soon as I hear anything. But it doesn't look good. It doesn't look like we're getting Fantasmic during the week. And for some reason, I'm taking this kind of hard. I don't enjoy that at all. I can't remember this being a thing in the past. I know I Googled it. I looked back, and I couldn't find anything. There was comments or there was mentions of it possibly happening sometimes, during certain times of year. that they might go to weekdays or weekends only, but certainly not at the end of summer, beginning of fall, not this time of year where the parks are at their peak capacity. This seems like the wrong time of year to be limiting Fantasmic. So I'm hoping this isn't the case. I'm hoping there's, God, it doesn't look right. Everything, all suggestions are pointing to the fact that it's weekends only. But we'll stay tuned and we'll keep our eyes on this one. In the meantime, follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked, on Twitter at FreshBakedDisney, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at FreshBakedDisney. If you like our show, want to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. Fresh Baked.